G20 is a movie that both I and, judging by the IMDb rating, Amazon Studios wishes didn't exist. But for the, I hope, remarkably small subset of people who have been dreaming about seeing a movie where Michelle Obama goes ham on 36 terrorists, well, firstly, that is a weird fantasy, bro. But secondly, you're in luck because that is precisely what G20 promises, and delivers as well. In fact, we get quite a few superpowered characters throughout this, as the movie starts, as it means to go on, with a girl boss, of the younger variant this time. You see, the president, Michelle Obama, has a genius daughter, henceforth referred to as Ironheart, who breaks out of the White House like it's nothing, dumping her entire security detail and apparently, hacking White House security. Well, that will be handy during a high-stakes hostage situation later on, I'm sure, as to punish her wayward daughter and her son, who did absolutely nothing wrong, Michelle Obama decides to bring them both with her to South Africa. You see, Michelle Obama has a plan. She has worked twice as hard as anyone to get here to be President of America. Which is kind of funny, considering her closest real-life equivalent, Kamala Harris, and they really did think she was gonna win, was simply given the nomination for Democrat candidate for president without a race. Wow. It's strange how working twice as hard as anybody else looks an awful lot like pampered privilege to me. But hey, details. Michelle Obama has far more important things to worry about in movie than some rigged election. Of course not. You see, she has her own struggles. She is going to the G20 summit to put forward her revolutionary plan to end world hunger. Damn. Aiming high right off the bat, I see. But there is a problem. England, Britain, that haven of white male masculinity and misogyny. It doesn't like strong women, and is getting in the way of her plan to end world hunger. And hey, I gotta give the movie props for presenting a realistic interpretation of a Democrat presidency, focusing more on foreigners than Americans. And besides, Michelle Obama has far grander things to worry about than silly-willy Americans. She's going to end world hunger by growing food in Africa. Huh. I wish somebody had thought about that before. That's strange. I feel like we've tried that, but it's never really quite worked out. Oh, except for white settlers. I really shouldn't be bringing that up on YouTube, should I? Anyways, colonialism is silly and never achieved anything, except fertilizing the desert, so let's throw that out of the window. Michelle Obama has a much better idea. You see, the Africans haven't invented banking yet. And so they can't... Stop looking at me like that, YouTube. I'm not saying this, the movie is. And so they can't get the loans they require to pay for the next seasons of crops, the next seasons of seed. So Michelle Obama's brilliant solution is to give sub-Saharan farmers billions in Bitcoin. Ah yes, the solution to world hunger, giving untraceable currency in enormous quantities to one of the most terrorist-infested regions on Earth. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, ignoring the terrorist part for a moment, Boko Haram, etc., your plan is to give Africa more money to solve world hunger. Well, that is simply revolutionary. After all, pumping actual, unironic, literal trillions into Africa is only what the West has been doing for the last half a century. This is a silly-willy plan. Unless, of course, the goal is somewhat different than what is stated. Just think about it. Billions in untraceable cryptocurrency flowing through the hands of government bureaucrats. Michelle Obama is working on her retirement fund. Okay then, well hey, a girl's gotta eat, right? And honestly, I am warming to Michelle Obama in the role here. I like the pro-Trumpian sentiment in the movie. If they want to remain allies, then Britain and France will fall in line. It's difficult to make Viola Davis look sexy, but that line? Oof. Anyways, Homelander shows up to save us all from having another few $1 trillion flushed down the infinite money waste toilet that is government charity work in Africa. Now, granted, of course, Homelander does have an ulterior motive in all of this. You see, he's gotten himself a big old cache of Bitcoin, and he's planning to crash the world's economies by holding the G20 leaders hostage, whilst urging all the regular people of the world to invest heavily in Bitcoin currency, which sees the total value of his own Bitcoin absolutely skyrocket. Now, there are some problems with this plan. First and foremost, the sales price of cryptocurrency of Bitcoin is of course dependent on the value of the actual money you're exchanging it for. So if you have $150 billion worth of Bitcoin, but you have just tanked the value of the dollar into the ground, what are you going to exchange it for? In fact, you've tanked the majority of countries' currencies across the world. What, Sri Lankan rupees? Homelander doesn't really seem to have thought this plan through, honestly. And, okay, let's assume that all the world's currencies simply rebound up to the old value, okay? After he releases all of the G20 leaders. Very well. In which case, what has Homelander achieved? Well, he's made everyone on Earth who invested in cryptocurrency millionaires and billionaires. Oh no! Homelander, that vile, spurious villain has made millions of people financially independent. What a terrible human being he is. The plan is not good. The plan is very, very, very bad. But we need some reason for the action sequence. We need a reason for Michelle Obama to run around in a dress, killing people with her bare hands, and the plot provides at least the barest level of justification for this. Now, the ploy against the G20 it works out reasonably well. Although, I will say that terrorists aren't very good at terrorizing. I mean, they didn't even send anybody to secure the Beast, the US president's famous armored vehicle limousine. They just kind of let that chill in the garage for some reason. Weird. The terrorists are also tracking everybody's little identification card so they can keep a track on where all of the hostages are and where their own men are. Indeed, Michelle Obama points this out and goes, "We've got to drop these, they're tracking them." And then 10 minutes later, she picks up one of the terrorists' identification cards and carries that around instead. Because apparently the terrorists aren't tracking their own terrorist cards. Which is very lucky for Michelle Obama, because otherwise she would have been captured almost immediately. The terrorists have also hacked into all of the cameras around the hotel, but they never actually look at them. And when they do look at them, once, they send a single person to capture the president, whom she kills, instead of sending all of their guys to make sure they captured her. They also send a single person to apprehend her children. This person is then killed by a pair of Wakandans. Again, I'm not joking. Anywho, Michelle Obama, of course, manages to escape and leads a one-woman resistance against all of the evil terrorists. Oh, well, she does actually have an entourage. One Secret Service agent, one old Korean woman who abandoned her husband to the terrorists and then later on goes like, "I'm not abandoning my husband," after having abandoned her husband, and this woman, who just so happens to be the head of the International Monetary Fund. Oh my indeed. The woman sitting atop the largest pile of cash in the world, eh? Oy vey, shut it down. Anywho, the gay Prime Minister of Britain, who simply acts like an enormous wuss this entire time. Although Michelle Obama does have a very heartfelt moment with the British Prime Minister, where she explains that she isn't really this great warrior that everyone makes her out to be. She actually got this wonderful shot of her carrying a child out of a destroyed building by basically pure accident. She's been in combat for all like 3 minutes throughout her entire career. She's not a soldier, she's not a warrior, she's just a regular human being. This would have been a lot more convincing if she didn't kill multiple men twice her size with her bare hands. In fact, it would be significantly more convincing if she didn't go on, in a few more scenes there later, to kill about 24 terrorists in a completely dark room without any night vision goggles by single tapping each and every one of them. Furthermore, after this, she takes on the mini-boss, an enormous German who shatters a stick across his head and doesn't even blink. After which, Michelle Obama spins him around and chokes the life out of him. Well, there you go. She was using a blunt object. Obviously, he's far too tough to be taken down by something as silly as that, but the overwhelming might of Michelle Obama's great big hands. There ain't no man on earth that can resist that kind of overwhelming strength. Oh boy, this movie is going to some dark, dark places. And of course, unfortunately, they managed to track down and stop Homelander's evil plan of making huge percentages of the Earth's population financially independent. Oh, and an old Korean lady stabs him with a letter opener. Because of course she does. This movie's very silly. This movie is very silly. It's almost so bad, it's good. I don't think it's quite there, but it's approaching that same realm. Anthony Starr does his best with the character he's given, a little bit too good, honestly, as, well, his plan seems more feasible and sympathetic than Michelle Obama's. Is not a good start for your president rescue movie. And at the end, after the American president has saved all of the silly willy other Europeans, what happens? Well, here's the thing. The movie makes a big stink about how politicians aren't actually just crony little dirtbags wasting everybody's money. That politicians aren't just actually evil and doing whatever is in the politician's best interest. No, these are deep fakes created by those silly willy blonde alt-writers. And at the end of the movie, all of the politicians come together to give America their billions in cryptocurrency to be funneled into Africa for no other reason than because they really like Michelle Obama now. Oh. So Homelander was right all along. The politicians are bad people. Well, I feel like I already was onto that, but it's nice to see Amazon reinforcing the idea, isn't it? And hey, if you want to see a much better movie about the American president shooting terrorists, allow me to recommend Air Force One with Harrison Ford. Is it a good movie? That's debatable. Is it better than G20? Oh, absolutely. And if you want to see more of Michelle Obama kicking ass, well, there's always Planet of the